In 1977, police officers in North London received a call that did not sound like a joke, but did not sound real either. A widowed mother claimed that furniture inside her home was moving on its own, that walls were producing violent knocking sounds, and that her children were terrified to sleep. Calls like this were usually dismissed as exaggerations or misunderstandings, but when officers arrived at the small house in Enfield, what they witnessed would become part of one of the most controversial cases in modern history. Inside a children's bedroom, in full view, a chair slid across the floor without anyone touching it. There were no strings, no visible force, and no explanation. That single moment shifted the situation from a family's fear to an officially recorded incident. The house was located in Enfield, a quiet working-class suburb of North London. It was not an old mansion or an abandoned building, but a small council house identical to many others on the streets. Families lived close together, life followed routine schedules, and nothing about the area suggested danger or mystery. The family living there was the Harper family. Peggy Harper was a widowed mother, raising her children under modest circumstances. She lived with her two daughters, 13-year-old Margaret and 11-year-old Janet. Before 1977, their lives were ordinary. There were no reports of unusual behavior, no involvement in paranormal beliefs, and no desire for attention. Their home was simply a place where a mother tried to provide stability for her children. The first signs of trouble were sounds. Late at night, heavy knocking began coming from inside the walls of the children's bedroom. At first, Peggy assumed there was a logical explanation, plumbing neighbors, or normal house noises. But the knocking was too loud, too deliberate, and too aggressive. It did not sound random. The girls claimed the noise followed them when they changed rooms. Over the following nights, the knocking grew stronger and more frequent, sometimes sounding as if something was striking the walls repeatedly. Peggy searched the house but found nothing that could explain it. Fear entered the home quietly, growing stronger with each unanswered question. Soon after the knocking began, physical movement followed. Chairs shifted across the floor without being touched. Drawers opened and slammed shut violently. Objects were thrown across rooms. These events happened in clear view, often with multiple family members present. Peggy initially suspected the children, but the activity continued even when the girls were separated or closely watched. The movements were forceful enough to leave marks and cause damage. The house no longer felt safe. Every sound triggered panic. Sleep became rare. What frightened Peggy most was not just what was happening, but the fact that it could not be controlled or predicted. With no explanation and no way to stop the events, Peggy Harper contacted the police. She knew how unbelievable her claims sounded, but desperation left her no choice. When officers arrived, they were skeptical. They examined the house, questioned the family, and looked for signs of deception. Then, without warning, a chair moved across the floor on its own. The officers witnessed it directly. The incident was recorded in police notes, and the officers left shaken. They could not explain what they had seen. This moment marked a turning point. The case was no longer a private family issue. It had become an official mystery. As the disturbances continued, Peggy sought help from the Society for Psychical Research, an organization known for investigating unexplained phenomena. Researchers began visiting the house regularly. They documented knocking sounds, object movement, and disturbances that occurred during observation. Journalists soon became involved, attracted by the credibility of the witnesses and the involvement of police. The presence of investigators did not stop the activity. In many cases, it appeared to increase. Objects moved in front of observers. Sounds responded to questions. Despite constant monitoring, no clear explanation emerged. The most disturbing development involved 11-year-old Janet Harper. She began experiencing episodes where her voice changed completely. During these moments, spoke in a deep, rough voice that did not resemble her own. The voice claimed to belong to an elderly man connected to the house. These episodes were witnessed by multiple people and recorded on audio. Janet appeared exhausted afterward, often collapsing or showing physical distress. Medical examinations did not provide a clear cause. The voice spoke for long periods, answering questions and displaying knowledge Janet was not known to have. This aspect of the case divided opinion sharply. Some believed it was evidence of possession, while others suggested psychological explanations. Regardless of interpretation, Janet's suffering was real. As time passed, the phenomena escalated. Objects were reportedly thrown through the air. Loud crashes echoed through the house at all hours. Janet was seen lifted or pushed from her bed. Neighbors reported hearing noises. Media attention increased, turning the house into a public spectacle. Skeptics accused the family of exaggeration or fraud, while others defended their credibility. Investigators disagreed among themselves. The house became a battleground between belief and disbelief. Meanwhile, the Harper family continued living inside it, unable to escape financially or emotionally. The events showed no concern for public opinion, they simply continued. Eventually, the intensity of the disturbances decreased. The reasons remain unclear. Janet's episodes became less frequent, and the house slowly returned to relative calm. But the emotional damage remained. The family had endured years of fear, exposure, and constant scrutiny. Even after the events stopped, the stigma followed them. The house itself became infamous, forever associated with what had occurred within its walls. Silence returned, but closure did not. Today, the Enfield poltergeist remains one of the most debated cases in paranormal history. Police records, audio recordings, witness statements, and investigative notes still exist. Some experts argue the case can be explained through psychological stress, environmental factors, or misinterpretation. Others believe the evidence points to something unexplained. What cannot be denied is that real people experienced real fear. A family's life was disrupted in a way that has never been fully explained. The Enfield case does not offer certainty. Instead, it leaves behind unanswered questions, reminding us how fragile normal life can be when faced with the unknown. Something happened in that house in 1977. What it was remains unresolved. And perhaps that is why the story continues to haunt us.